Hello, everyone. This is Cassandra.
Hello, everyone. It's Cassandra Williamson coming to you from Holler in Eastern Kentucky. And yes, that is indeed me. Out there, I'm just going to dance with this. Okay, come on. Down here in the holler. Now we switch over to a little heavy metal sound, okay? Nothing missing would be the Who. The Mongolian band Who. HU, that band, they got a massive voice. I'm telling you. It's a heavy metal band from Mongolia. That's crazy. So here we are. It has been another day. Oh my God, as ever. It started out, my day actually started out sometime around, I don't know, about 11:35 last night. I was preparing to lay down and go to sleep, and I was pulling the cover up over my head, and I started doing that. I had the phone in my hand, of course. You got the phone, pull the cover up over, and I was like to get it up around my neck because sometimes it just sweats a little bit right up in here. I don't know about you, but it does for me. And so it was sweating here, and I was pulling the cover, the sheet up to get kind of some relief up in this area. And I get a text message from my newfound friend with the Washington Post, and she sent me a message, an article from the New York Times about civility, about this title. Now, obviously, this article was not based on this kind of hillbilly-ish kind of way of perceiving things, but this is one of the results that came out of it after I did a little thinking about it. Okay, so I'm gonna play it one more time. So the title of the story that she sent to me was "Civility is a Fantasy." It was written by Roxane Gay on the 24th, which I believe was yesterday, but it was for the New York Times, and it was a very interesting, very thought-provoking piece. Okay, because there's a lot people understand that it's really hard to have any kind of civil conversation with someone who wants you destroyed and wants you wiped out, wants you gone from the face of the earth. And the thing is, though, many of the people who support that particular side of the fence that have those conversations, have those thoughts, they don't see it that way. They don't feel it that way. And they don't think it's that bad. And no matter how hard I've been trying to show people, it's just not coming across in any kind of real way that what they're doing is they're supporting people who want us gone. They don't want us in the public square at all, folks. They just don't do it. They don't want us around. They haven't wanted us around, so I don't know, since 1950s. It's nothing new about all of this stuff. Oh my gosh, this is nothing new. It's just worse now. I mean, this is probably the worst, historically speaking, looking back at any of the other kind of conservative resets. This is they've achieved their goal pretty much. That's what they think anyway. But come another election, I hope we can change all of that. But it's going to be a long time, excuse me, before we can actually go around and say, phew, we finally got it back. We finally restored everything that was lost in all of this chaos that occurred around our country these days. So the title of the piece that Roxane Gay wrote for the New York Times was "Civility is a Fantasy." And I understand her perspective. It's very powerful. If you can go check it out, go look up "Civility is a Fantasy," but type in Roxane, Roxane, Roxane Gay, Gay, with New York Times. And you can find this story. It's behind a paywall for some people, I suppose, but Go find it, read it. Or if you don't want to, you can just go read my blog posts on this stuff, because I did put out a couple of blog posts on this. You can actually check it over on the website at cassandra-llc.com, and go check there. Go to the blog button in the menu section, the drop down button there. Find that button for the blog. Click on it, and you will go in. And I'm going to show you a couple of things that you'll see there when you go in. Subscribe to all of this. You need to be. I try to do a little satirical levity with what's going on, because I don't know any other way to respond to it at this point. Nothing is working. Nothing seems to be persuading anyone that we're real people just trying to live, just trying to take care of our families and take care of our loved ones and things like that. But so after I read through that whole story, that whole opinion piece by Roxane Gay, then it became apparent that the one thing that was missing in the conversation, I mean, it was very powerful what she wrote, very powerful. The thing, though, that was missing was we love our families, whether or not they agree with us or not, don't we? You don't just kick people aside because they have a differing opinion from you, or a strongly held opinion about your existence, and basically the things they support encourage the complete destruction of who you are, removal from society. Yeah, I mean, but there's still that love that's there. It's like the prodigal son story, okay? They've drifted away, and they probably think the same thing on the other side. Just to be clear, they probably think exactly the same thing from the other side. They're going, oh, we got this prodigal person out there in the family. We got to figure out how to get them back in and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, oh my gosh. Let's see. Best of Trump without the worst. Okay. Supposed to meet with your Congresswoman tomorrow, Jamie. Yay. In the town hall meeting again. I will ask her to support trans community in a real way. Instead of all this damn violence, we need election choice. Don't we ever? Yes. Best of Trump without the worst. Agreed. There's a lot of good things. Well, maybe about that much good from what I would agree with on Trump. A couple of big things, I'm sure. Well, I know I've told people about it before. There's some things I just support. The world is not black and white. That's the thing that people miss. But the other part is, I love my country, and I love my family, and I'm gonna get rid of that phone number. I don't know who's calling, but I got to turn that thing off somehow. All right. So anyway, so I have to find a way to make things work, right? You have to do the love part. That's what was missing in Roxane Gay's story, was that, yes, there's a lot of incivility going on around there. Yes, there's a lot of stuff that is just absolutely horrendous. Talking about rounding up and locking away and stripping our ability to communicate, kind of bad things. Okay. Those are bad, really bad, really bad. But these people are still Americans, and they have a right to those views. And I have a right to oppose them. And I have a right to tell people that I am one of those freaking terrorists that you don't like. Up in the holler in Eastern Kentucky, I've got so much going on right here. This training camp is just full of activity every day. Mine started last night at like 11:35 with a note from my friend. And then we took off with, I read the thing and I had to immediately get up and come over to the computer and go look this article up. And then I engaged with my Gemini account, my AI account, because I use that to kind of keep my flow going in terms of the, what do you call it? The kind of the plot line of these stories I've been writing recently about, hey, trans terrorists up in Eastern Kentucky taking care of family. I got time for, I don't know, the syringe and an occasional peach cobbler and maybe even an apple stack cake and breakfast and shots and medicine and water and food and breakfast all over again, and lunch and breakfast, and just supper and breakfast and lunch. And yesterday was Boy Scout meal, which is also known as the hobo meal. So yesterday, that was that, and I still got some of that left over. Got to make decisions about what I need to do for today, and make sure that all the troops here are all lined up, moving in the same direction. And Mom's sleeping, and Irma's sleeping, my sister, and my brother had a heart thing. He had to go an exam. Had to go about 30 miles away to Pikeville, Kentucky, to get that taken care of. And he was going to take his truck. He was going to take his F-150 pickup. and go to Lowe's and get a couple pieces of lumber he needed, but he just couldn't handle all that. It's a standard shift vehicle. So that means going, and it's 4-wheel drive, and you're going, and so his breathing is not at the place where he can actually handle all that. He'd pass out going through gears and finding the right spot and doing, yeah. So he has to use my little Mini. So he's got the little Mini in Pikeville going over to get his heart checked out. So that's basically a long day. And I've been up, let me see. So the funniest thing is in the stories, you go over to the blog site on that website right there. You go to that blog site there, you will, the blog on the website, there's a couple of stories in there that talks about the televangelist thing. Yeah, go check that out because at 3:30 in the morning, after I got to bed about 1 o'clock, about 3:30 in the morning, I'm stretched out on my bed, which is just a little couch over here since I'm kind of I kind of occupy a spot in the place in this house that they allow me to because I'm a guest in here as their caregiver. And this is their place. And so I'm very fortunate to be able to be here and have the time and the resources and the ability to do this. So, and I'll talk about that in a minute, Jamie. But right now, here I am at 3:30 in the morning. The door is rattling over here on this room. The door is rattling. And I was not expecting my mom to be there because she hasn't been pretty much unable to get up and actually sustain a lengthy little walk. And that was a lengthy walk from her bedroom back here to this back room for her. But here she was. She just needed some company. 3:30 in the morning. So I get up and I turn one of the lights on and ask her if she wants to sit down. And she's sitting in my rolly chair, which is really difficult for her to do because she is using a walker and sometimes a wheelchair. But this thing spins and turns and has no brakes. So I've got to hold it steady so she can get into it. And so we sit and talk for maybe 30, 40 minutes, 45 minutes or so, something like that. And I ask her about what's going on. I check her blood sugar. I check her oxygen levels. Everything's fine. No problem with that. She didn't remember if she had any urinary incontinence issues before getting out of the bed. But I did notice that she had changed clothes. So I have to go check on all of that on her bed. And sure enough, I have to take off the pad and make sure everything's drying out correctly and get her to sit on the couch. So by 5 o'clock, when I'm ready to go back and lay down, I finally got mom back in the bed, back in her chair. I come back here and I realize it's after 5. I might as well just get up because I got to make sure that my brother was able to get to his 8 o'clock appointment this morning in Pikeville for a heart scan. Jeez. So yeah, it has not let up all day long. And I've been like this wired the whole time because, I made a cup of coffee and I did all that and I've had a soda. I'm like wired. And at the same time though, I had all this stuff I wanted to get out onto my website, all the blog posts, the different things I wanted to talk about today, tell this story of what came up to right here. And by 7:37, I still hadn't fixed breakfast for everyone. And that's kind of in the plot line. You'll see it over there in the story if you go read it. But the funniest thing is, though, here I am. I'm reading through this Roxanne Gay story from last night, and I'm trying to figure out a way to respond to it. And so what I did was I got all the links to all the different posts that I have done that has to do with a day in the life of, that has a little bit of satire in them. True stories, but satire. And I'll say being a trans terrorist is a satirical statement, just so you know, but I welcome being on Pam Bomdy's list at the top of the page, Come on, Pam. All of us ought to be on Pam's list. We ought to be calling in and saying, hey, Pam, I'm down here and so, and here's my address and location and email address. I want to be at the top of the list of your trans terrorist network identification list because I just want to make sure that you know who I am, and you know where I am, and that if you ever do come down and visit, make sure you bring a pot pie or two because, and bless your heart, we got to have some sweet tea when you get here. Yeah. That's the kind of stuff that I've been doing. So I copied all that stuff into Gemini and I said, okay, Gemini, here's this story. Here's this article from Roxanne Gay. I want to respond to it in a way that actually is representative of my particular persona, and so we did. We came up with something that was coherent. It's in the blog. Go check it out. It's there. But then I thought, let me see now. Let's go ahead and have this thing translated into hillbilly. Yeah, Google can do that. Gemini can do that. Don't believe it? Oh my God. Oh, jeez, it can. It is hilarious. It's hilarious. Translated that whole story, my original piece, into hillbilly. And I'm trying to get there over here on this page on this side, but I'm going to do it right now. So I'm going to show you some of this stuff. And while I'm looking this stuff up to share the page, just keep this little video in mind. Made that this morning too. God, I had so much fun with all this stuff. I'm going to share a page now. I'm going to kick that out of the way, I think. Yeah, there you go. No, playing in the background. That one. Wait a minute, it's going to keep playing until I stop the share screen. Oh my God, I love the music in the background. I'm going to put that up there and now share screen because I want to go over and kind of read or show you some of these things that have been produced from the dark corners of my hollers. Yep, that's where we are. Oh my gosh, I've had fun with this stuff. All right, this is the very first page. This is the home page for my website. If you haven't been there, you can go check it out. This is the very first one I wrote, A Day in the Life of a Transgender American Terrorist. That's an interactive exploration of a life defined by care, duty, and defiant love. Yeah, it's really cool. It's got different sections, 7 Eastern, 10 Eastern, 2 Eastern, 7 Eastern, in military time, of course. So you can go down through at the home front. I got mom and sister and brother down here, and then another article on stochastic terrorism. And anyway, so that's the front page. Let's go check out the menu button and go over to the blog page. Okay, there we are. So anyway, here we are. Now, this is the first image. This is the first image that's right here. That has the American flag and the trans pride flag with civility as a fantasy in it. That's an AI generated thing that I did also this morning, but I thought that was pretty bland. I didn't think that didn't kind of capture the what I felt about it really well. So let's go in here and open this thing up and just all about my response to the in my TP. Okay, so there's that thing you just saw. This is that little video clip. I made that one. Oh, let's stop it. You just heard that one. There's the other AI image I created also this morning. And I go in and what I could do is kind of like creative vibing. You've got vibe coding, which is basically you don't have to know code. All you have to do is talk to your AI system and encourage it to create an app in the way that you want it to create. It's kind of an iterative process between you and AI creating code. Well, this creativity, this creative vibing is my term for what I do, which is like, I'll go in and say, okay, here's what I'm looking to do. This is sort of the foundation of it. This is how I wish to proceed from here. And then we'll kind of iterate back and forth till we get something that actually matches what I'm thinking and what I'm seeing. And with a lot of creativity that comes from the AI systems, there's a lot. I mean, these things are more powerful than you would ever imagine, folks. Oh, gosh. So let's go on down. So I'm looking for now, I translated it into hillbilly for fun. Since I do live here and I feel like I can speak like this, if I wanted to. I've spent my life trying not to. I really spent my life trying not to be anything like this. I ran away from here to get away from this. But when I asked Gemini, I said, okay, so here's what we've come up with so far. This is our creative vibing that we have done. So let's take that story now and put it into hillbilly. And I don't have to provide any of the prompts for that other than saying, let's put it into hillbilly. And then this is what This, go check it out. This is what Gemini produced. Not the image. The image I did on another platform, okay, another image creating platform. So, yeah, those are my AI generated images from another platform, not Gemini. Okay, so the first thing is Gemini. Gemini's response was, let me blow it up. Bum, 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 bum. All right, let's pour some sweet tea on this thing. Right off, they got the vibe, right? Gemini did. Here it is again, translated for fun into the Appalachian vernacular your persona was born into. Woohoo! Cassandra, and I do love this version. I put that little section in the front of it, but the rest of it from right here on Well Now, this is from Gemini. Obviously, it's got the input that comes in from the sources that it's based on and the location that it knows that I am from, and it has studied enough literature from this area to know that this is how people talk here sometimes when they're talking with each other and they're back in the holler on the back of a pickup truck with that corncob pipe and the moonshine still nearby. Yeah. Okay, so, well now, much obliged for sending this. Woo, something like that from Miss Gail make a gal stop and scratch her head a bit. And it's hard for me to talk like this because I don't talk like this, but it's still got the hillbilly sound to it. It's just spot on. Whew. Then what the government fellers call a terrorist from these here hills, you'd reckon I'd be the one in line to join the ruckus raisers and start kicking over tables. And she ain't wrong, not one bit. That civility business is mostly a cage. It's folks expecting you to grin like a possum while they jaw on for hours about how your very being is up for a vote. It's a hickory switch pretending to be a peace pipe. Oh my God, oh my gosh. Jeez. And I felt that switch more from them folks at the VA going round in circles on the phone than from any hollering match on the TV box. Trust me, that kind of polite don't feel civil at all. But here's the knot I can't untie. If we throw that whole notion out, what are we left with? Just hiding out in our hollers, chucking rocks at each other till the whole dang place is busted up. Sounds a sight too much like my kinfolk, the Hatfield McCoys, still fussing and feuding long after anyone remembers who shot first. That's why I keep setting my big old table. It's a rickety thing, mind you, all scarred up and wobbly, and I'll save a seat for anyone, from the folks who think I'm the devil himself to the ones who think I'm all right. That fancy talk about Tikkun Olam, that's the phrase that Roxanne Gay used. And I don't know enough about where it came from to actually tell you where that is. But anyway, so we kept it in here. Fixing a broken world, that's the right thing. My kind of terrorist work is just plain refusing to hate the folks that hate you right back. It's pulling up a chair, looking at the feller who's scared of you square in the eyes and saying, "Mind passing the biscuits?" That's the new gospel I'm hearing in my own kitchen. That fixing things ain't about some big political victory, but about the stubborn everyday work of just showing up for your people. It's a sneaky plan, I know. Forcing folks to see you're just another critter trying to get by. Well, that'll shake them up more than any picket sign. And surely will. So maybe being all nice and civil is a tall tale, but I'm as stubborn as a mule in a mud hole. I'm going to keep setting that table for that make-believe supper, because the other option ain't something I can rightly live with. Anyhow, if we can't be decent to one another, how in tarnation are we going to figure out who's bringing the tater salad and who's bringing the nanner pudding to the church social? And that right there, friends, is the only war that truly matters. I love that. And to think that in collaboration with AI, Gemini AI, this is the result of it. I would not have known that if my sister and I weren't sitting in the hospital room when my mom was in the hospital about 2 weeks ago. And we got this list, we got this notice on our My Chart thing on the phone, and we were trying to interpret what was being said. And you could get the gist of it. Some of the words we weren't familiar with. So I just looked at Ed and I said, let's try something. Let's convert this. Let's ask Gemini to convert this thing to hillbilly talk. It converted that doctor's statement, the record report, into hillbilly. And we were just rolling in laughter over that thing. It was hilarious. So I now know I can use Gemini to create dialectical differences. And this thing is the result. So this is my response in hillbilly to what Roxane Gay said about civility is a fantasy. And it's a difficult thing. It really is a hard thing to deal with. Civility is difficult, folks. It is. It's hard to be civil with people who want you gone. It's hard to be civil with someone who says you have no right to exist. And we've wanted for 70 years to get rid of you. And you're finally figuring out how to go about doing it now that we got the Supreme Court all on our side. And the Christian nationalists are making their big debut across the whole country right now. And I was glad to see that last night, Ryan Walters, who is the Secretary of the Department of Education for the state of Oklahoma, resigned. I'm thinking that guy is a nutcake. Geez, where did he come from? I don't know where Ryan came from, but I did send a note on one of the news releases where I saw that. I said, Ryan, just go on back to ORU, find your little niche in the hole in the wall in the corner in the closet, and stay there. ORU is Oral Roberts University. It's in Oklahoma. How do I know about that? I worked for a church in Texas whose people came from there. Yes, indeed. So anyway, it's like, yeah, I'm glad to see that he is away from the Department of Education in Oklahoma, because he was doing some crazy shit there, folks. Trying to force the entire school system to have all of the schools in the state, the high schools in the state, to have a Turning Point USA chapter. You talk about political indoctrination. What the heck is that all about? Be a recruiting platform and a grooming platform from the Christian nationalists. That's groomer extreme right there, folks. And that would be Loomer's Groomers. I'm just going to put it out there like that. Laura Loomer, that's Loomer's Groomers. That's all that's about, folks. And Chaya Rychek lives a TikTok groomers. And Chase Spears, doctor, major in the United States Army, I think, active duty. He's a rat in the pig pen there, folks. I'm being serious. He really is. He's the one who points out to Libs of TikTok that certain people have pride stuff and memorabilia, maybe in a picture from 10 years ago or 20 years ago. And they got this pride flag back there somewhere on a desk, or a little emblem or something that says safe zone or anything like that has pride on it, or is indicative of the fact that you understand that diversity is something you can't escape. Inclusivity is the thing that you actually want to accomplish, but you can't, because you can't talk about it. You can't escape those things. And the level of inclusivity is actually the challenge for those who see the diversity but can't do anything about it. Anyway, so I'm so glad to see Ryan Walters gone out of the position as Secretary of their Department of Education in Oklahoma. That guy was, oh my God. Every time I turned around on X over there, he was saying something stupid, and I had to say something right back. So yeah, I get down in the trenches with a lot of these people because you have to, and because I can. And I understand a lot of people can't. And so I just go get in the middle of it, and I'll send them something like this. You know, I'll just say, hey, look, we're going to have a little conversation here, y'all. Oh, goodness. I have a lot of fun doing what I do. I do realize that it can be extremely dangerous. I don't know yet the full impact of any investigation taking place with the ICE facility shoot up that occurred yesterday down in Dallas. I pray and pray and pray, and I don't pray at all. I P-R-E-Y sometimes, but I don't P-R-A-Y. I've got no use for the fantasies. I'm just done with it. Been there, done that. Sorry if it offends anybody. I'm just done with it. So, yeah, we are definitely going to be getting in people's faces. I'm going to do stuff like this, more of this. I'm going to talk. Get a banjo, folks. Get a banjo. Here we come. I know people who play bluegrass around here. I love that little image created by Open Art. It was. Okay, let me see. It's getting about 30 minutes after, so let me see. I'm going to go up here and just see what Jamie, my friend from up in Michigan, is saying these days. I'm supposed to meet with my congresswoman tomorrow at town hall meeting. Again, I will ask her to support the trans community in a real way. Jamie, you could ask all you want, but right now they don't have the power. Maybe later. Maybe she'll remember later. But right now, all of the ask away, my friend, ask away. Ask away. Instead of all this damn violence, we need election choice. Yeah, we do. We do. I absolutely agree with that. Let's go on down. Next comment from my friend Jamie was best of Trump without the worst. Let me see the best of Trump without the worst. The best of Trump without the worst. The best of Trump without the worst. I've always known he was a con man. He's been a con man since I first heard of him back in 1980. He was a con man extraordinaire then. He still is, and nothing has changed. He sold people on that golden toilet, and they fell for it. You know, the sparkly things he talk about in the book of Revelations? Yep. Even the best and the most elite people and the elite of God, if you go down that road, have fallen for all the shiny, sparkly stuff that comes out of the Tower of Babel. I mean, Trump's tower. However, there are a couple of things I do agree with him on. 3, to be specific. Taking out those boats down in the middle of the Caribbean, off the coast of Venezuela, and when they have discovered that they are being loaded with drugs coming to this country, and I know those boats don't have the range to actually get here, but they're just the intermediaries. I believe with all of my heart, and I am so glad that those things are removed. I've got family and friends who have lost their lives, lost their livelihoods, lost everything in their lives that's worth anything over the drugs that's being brought in from South and Central America. I have no problem with having those boats blown out of the water. None. I have no sympathy with those people. They've killed more Americans than anybody. They probably killed more than the 600,000 people who lost their lives in the Civil War. I would say that they have. Over the years, over 20, 30 years, 40, 50 years, the narco-terrorists, they have done more damage to this country than any war we have been involved in. They've destroyed society here in this country. Yes, part of the problem is that we have a dependency. Many in this country have a dependency on those kind of things. They've come to need it just to live, to get by. But I'm going to tell you something, and this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Even though what's going on, they do get these people sometimes away from these illegal drugs. They move them over to legal ones. Drug rehab centers and the drug pain management clinics and stuff like that. Come on down here. We'll regulate this with you. We'll give you any kind of legal drug that you want. So they just shifted them from the illegal to the legal and haven't helped them one darn bit. Nothing has been done to help them. They just got them away from the illegal ones so that they aren't spending their money and fortune and lives and destroying themselves even more by having to pursue it on an illegal basis. So I have no sympathy whatsoever for these boats and these narco-terrorists being destroyed anytime we find out who they are. I don't care about the due process part. They don't deserve it. They're destroying too many Americans. They have, and the judgment has been rendered. And I'm glad to see that these boats and the people on them, and I don't know who's on those boats, but here's the thing. If one of those boats come out of a harbor down there or out of some shipping place, location down there in Central and South America, if they come out of there, they had better be well lit and well identified that these little speedboats and these little tiny submarines that they're using to skim below the surface to try to get stuff past all the security and past all the viewing eyes and the eyes in the sky and stuff, if it's not being used for narco-terrorist activities, they had better make sure we know it. Otherwise, go get them, Trump. That's how I feel about it. I've seen too many of my family. I've had to go and identify people. And it is not fun. So don't ask me. Don't ask me or tell me anything about that, because I am firmly set on just wiping them the F out. That's what they've done to us. Is that cruel? I don't care. I didn't cause it. They did. They're reaping the results of it. Another thing that I support Trump on is his recent change of mind in supporting Ukraine. The rest of us and the rest of the world have known that Vladimir Putin was a snake, a con man, just like Trump. But we've known it. We've known who he is. We've known that he is dangerous. We know that he was a KGB agent. We know that his heart is in restoring the old Soviet Union with him as the dictator over top of it all. We know that he will kill people in his own nation who disagree with him. We know that he will chase them down around the world and poison them with radioactive chemicals. We know that. He's done it. Hey, I'm live on the show. I'm live on the show right now. Somebody just heard you say hello. Bye. Bye. That's quick. That's my sister up and another sister. So I fully support this new position that Trump is taking with Ukraine. We ought to be helping them secure their borders. Their borders need to be secured just as much as ours need to be secured. And we have an obligation to the world as the world's hegemonic power to do so. We've had that obligation since, 1946, when the United Nations was founded, which we helped create. Actually, we were instrumental in creating it. Many states in the United States actually wanted to join it independently. But you won't hear much about that today, because they don't want anybody to know that they did that. Oh my God. We're hypocrites sometimes, aren't we? So anyway, I support that with Ukraine, and I support the complete destruction of the terrorist group Hamas. I do not think a two-state solution is appropriate until Hamas is destroyed. Once Hamas and even the Palestinian Authority can have no influence in Palestine or any of those regions around there, then there is and cannot be a two-state solution, because all it does is will put off again to a future date another violent group of people who want to destroy Israel simply because they're anti-Semitic. They hate anything to do with Israel. They blame Israel for everything. It's a religious thing that goes back for millennium, three, even before the Islamic faith came along. That was there. That was there all the way back to like 1200 AD. That kind of anti-Semitism, hatred of everything to do with Jews in Israel, because they were perceived as being God's people and everybody else hated them for it. That stuff's hung on. It hasn't changed. Hamas needs to go completely, without a doubt. And the other two things that I actually support Trump on, and there's a couple more probably, but the other two things is that I do fully support these initiatives to get us to the moon, to create a thriving commercial entity and city, if we have to, on the moon, a city on Mars even. We need to be more than just connected to what's going on here. And so We can't rely on just this one place for all of humanity to reside. Just can't do it. And it also encourages us to develop new technologies, new ways of thinking, to get out of this myopic way of viewing the universe. So I encourage that. I support those particular initiatives by Trump and Elon Musk. Elon's position on trans people is based on his hatred for his own trans daughter. Completely disagree with him on that, but he's good on the rest. Now, also down through here, let's go down here to tariffs. Let me see. Tariffs are designed to promote free trade. No, actually, in my opinion, Jamie, on that one, tariffs are designed to, and have been known since Hamilton started talking about them and discussing them, but they're designed to protect your industry so that you can build them up and then be able to compete freely. Hamilton also knew that large nations really didn't need tariffs unless they were losing some of their industries to other nations. He realized that the large economic powers in the world at the time, and today even, their goal was to open up free markets, to open up markets where where fair trade could be, not just free trade, but fair trade could occur around the world, because large economies succeed better when all the doors are opened and none closed. And then that's one of the points. But when you start losing some of your industry, well, you're either for free markets and capitalism or you're not. It doesn't stop at your border. If the entire planet has free market, open capitalism, it'll work great. But you have to get the government out of manipulating those economies to take advantage of yours. And that's the problem. And that's the challenge that Trump has faced. And he's been dealing with it quite effectively. So I think I'm about done here. I just saw my brother came back in. I've been talking for like 40 some minutes. Come back at 6 this evening. I need to go check on my brother and see what's going on with everybody else. Y'all have a great day. Thank you for watching. And by the way, go read the blog post over there, particularly the one that's written in Hillbilly. If you want a good laugh, that's the place to start.